at 7 o'clock. These are tonight's top stories. The heat's on Cathay Pacific as staff meets to discuss industrial actions on a round of overworking. Miracle survival, 114 miners were pulled out from a flooded coal mine in China. And endangered species, why posties in Australia could soon become a history. Good evening, Ivan Leung with the HK News. The Cathay Pacific Flight Attendants Union is holding a special meeting today to decide whether to go ahead with the industrial action tomorrow in a round of overworking hours. Clpro reports.
The airline made further concessions yesterday relating to staff swapping arrangements and said it was ready to sign an agreement with the union. The head of the FAU, Dora Lai, said they would seek members' views on the agreement and consider setting a deadline for other issues that needed to be resolved. Clpro, DHK News.
China's rescuers has pulled out 114 miners from the flood coal mine in northern Shanxi province for more than a week since the accident occurred. Dozens of them are being rescued on Monday. Rescuers are continuing to search for 39 miners that are still being trapped. According to the report, the rescue survivors were weak but lucid and able to speak despite the ordeal, identify themselves to the doctors. Door-to-door postal service in Australia's nation urban fringe faces extinction as Australia Post prepares to roll out this fully automated community mail centres. Joining us now is our reporter Amy Blom at the Cockburn Central Post Station. Amy, any details about this change you can give it to us?
Yes, Ivan. An investigation by the Sunday Mail found that Australia Post has already earmarked parts of southeast Queensland and Western Sydney, the nation's top growth corridors, to install the new mail hubs. The idea came up during talks between Australia Post, Ipswich City Council and the Urban Development Institute of Australia on March 17th.
So did the post office plans to stop the door-to-door service?
No, but Australia Post told news.com.au that there was no plan to stop door-to-door delivery. They say it relates to new property developments only.
Are there any opposition from the community so far about this change, Amy?
Well, the move is expected to be opposed by many residents, particularly the elderly, who may have difficulty travelling regularly from their homes to collect mail. The nation's leading postal union, the CEPU, fears postal workers will lose their jobs and has threatened to walk away from pay talks after being left in the dark by Australia Post about the initiative. And that's it for now, Ivan. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much indeed, Amy. A Russian rocket has blasted off from a space center in southern Kazakhstan, transporting 2 Russian cosmonauts and a NASA astronaut to the International Space Station. Clpro has the latest.
The Soyuz craft carrying Californian native Tracy Caldwell Dyson and Russians Alexander Skvortsov and Mikhail Konyenko rose from the Baikonur Cosmodrome on schedule. The craft, which thundered into orbit at more than 8,000 miles per hour about 10 minutes into the flight, is scheduled to dock with the space station on Sunday. Live pictures broadcast from the craft during takeoff showed expedition head Skvortsov smiling as a toy duck nicknamed Quack dangled overhead. Caldwell Dyson, Skvortsov and Konyenko will join the Russian commander Oleg Kutov, NASA astronaut Timothy J. Kremer and Soichi Noguchi of Japan on board the station, which is orbiting about 200 miles above the Earth. Clpro, DHK News.
Gunmen wearing military uniforms have stormed Sunni Muslim village near Baghdad and killed at least 24 people. The attack occurred on Friday's Sunni enclave called Abdussafa on the southern Baghdad province, a former stronghold of the Al-Qaeda militant. A police source says the gunman handcuffed the victims and shot them in the head. The attackers may have been pretending by the US soldiers because they wore US-style uniforms, sunglasses, and spoke some English, according to the Iraqi military source at the scene. Iraqis and US troops sealed off the area. Mr. Musawa says that 25 people were arrested and security forces were searching for more. Labourers have unveiled an election poster portraying David Cameron as the politically incorrect TV detective Grant Hunt. It's in bold a link of Tory leaders and memories of the 1980s social unrest in youth unemployment in England. Our British correspondent Jonathan Tang has the report.
The poster, the winner of a public competition, shows the Tory leader sitting on the bonnet of an Audi like that driven by Hunt in the TV series Ashes to Ashes. It appeals to voters, don't let him take Britain back to the 1980s. Cash-strapped Labour launched the poster competition in a bid to save money on design by tapping into public creativity after a slew of parodies of Tory ads swept the internet. The idea was inspired by campaign techniques used by US President Barack Obama. Cabinet Minister brothers David and Ed Miliband officially launched the election poster in Belston, Essex. Foreign Secretary David Miliband said he and his brother first got into politics in the 1980s and said the poster was a powerful reminder of the damage which the Tories did to Britain in the 80s and the threat which they posed to the country should they win the election. Jonathan Tang, DHK News in England.
And finally, tonight has been a special delivery to the animals at the zoo in Argentina as they are astonished to find Easter bunnies in their midst. The polar bear starts eating the egg with no doubt. The orangutan thinks the chocolate can be a good sun hat and will make some good Easter bonnet. Each animal has a different Easter food packaging according to their taste, although some animals doesn't know what to do with it and play or fiddle around with it. The zoo manager says that this new way of having Easter food on the Easter time for the animals can attract more visitors and bring some fresh ways when they visit the zoo. To the weather now, the humid maritime airstream is affecting the South China coastal areas. Locally, the visibility in the harbour once fell around 2,000 meters this afternoon. Tonight, the temperatures in Hong Kong will range between 19 to 23 degrees and the relative humidity is 91%. And that's it from the Evening News team this Monday night. Thanks for your company. Good night.